everybody. One day I'll actually be dressed for one of these videos. Apologies, I was checking on YouTube earlier, it's been 3 weeks since my last video, so apologies for that. I'm sure most of you know across the UK the weather has been shocking. It's been rubbish. So yeah, it's been problems after problems really. Crap weather, missing bits and pieces, that's my own fault. Be organised. But yeah, we're starting to make some headway, although the garden is looking a bit of a tip at the moment. It doth resemble a building site. We seem to be going backwards, but I think what's the saying, you can't make an omelette without cracking a few eggs. Then again, we're not making an omelette, so that's pretty damn irrelevant. But sit back, enjoy what I have managed to get done. We're up to a point where we're ready for Fiberglass. He's due in tomorrow, and yeah, very exciting. But thanks for joining me. Enjoy this weather. Now it's starting to pick up a bit, especially if you're on holiday with the kids, being the summer holidays. But yeah, stay safe, enjoy the hobby, and don't give up, even if you look this tired. Good news, it's bloody hot, and my genius has kicked in again. So I needed to make some doors for the filter house over the back there, and I wanted them insulated. Hi Ev. So what I've actually done is started setting up some framework and then just batten the front of it, and this will be a Japanesey themed door. I'll show you when we're finished, but basically I had a bit of insulation left over, so killed two birds with one bit of insulation, so to speak, and make our doors. I'm tempted to do the roof this way. It's insulated and it's light, so I'll keep you posted. There we go. Bit of old insulation sheeting, 25mm, bit of batten. Nice little Japanesey door. That's painted black and red. Bob jobs are good. There we go. See, never chuck anything away. And the good thing about it is, because they're made of battening and insulation, they're just sat in a rail. When I want them out, I'll take them out. I'm going to do the same with the roof, methinks. But yeah, nice and easy. Just two doors, about £5 worth of roofing batten, leftover polystyrene insulation board, and yeah, bit of paint. Job's a good one. Got to do something about that window. Still looks like a Wendy house. It's not Wendy's house, it's my house. It's a filter house. There we are, British summer. We're now due storms. So I've had to get myself a big zap and batten the old hatches. Hopefully it holds. Because what I can't have is this pond getting wet. So, and it's going to be ideal. It's going to keep the sun off it for when the fiberglass comes. It's actually really cosy in here. It's really cosy. In fact, I might chuck a bed in here, and this is where I'll live for the next couple of weeks. But, got a little bit to go on there. So that's our way in, way out. A bit noisy. Not sure what the neighbours will think, but yeah. Our winds are starting to pick up now. But yeah, we're due heavy rain, thunderstorms. You know, that typical summer weather. But on the bright side, that old shed, I've got strips to put on there still, but it's hard to see under the ladder. But that old shed that I picked up has now become, I've got some trims to put across the front and down the side. I've only done one, but we've now got a nice little filter house. Hello everybody! Update, we're doing things properly. So, as my pond man, my fiberglass man, rightly pointed out, I'd done a bit of a bodge and I was going to sit the window on the fiberglass, which I know a lot of people do, but it's not really the best thing to do. So there we go, we just had the angle grinder out. Only downside to that, a nice clean pond. But we've also just quickly put the fiberglass corners in, just like that. And then tomorrow, it's Friday evening by the way, and it's like gale force winds outside, so we're all covered up. The old tap He's had a bit of a battering, I will say. I only bought a cheap tarp, perhaps should have bought the next one up. Never mind, yeah, so tomorrow morning we'll get those 45-degree angles in. And we'll carry on. And then we start taping the joints. Give everything a quick sand down before we tape the joints, get some of them sharp edges off so it's a nice round over on top. But yeah, I fucking kid you not. Oops, what's my French? Look, it's pissing down with rain. It's nearly August. It's not on! Hi, I'm Dave, and I've got a coil problem. What we're doing here is we're just doing the scratch coat. Anything floor-wise, all around the edges, I didn't want as insulation-based. I wanted it solid as a rock. I don't want to take any chances. A lot of money, a lot of time gone into it, so the corners are obviously chamfered with the 100mm foam, just cut at a 45-degree angle. And what we're doing is at the moment we're just going around with a 3-in-1 sand and cement scratch coat, and that'll be finished with a building sand 3-in-1 mix, just to get a nice smooth finish to make sure we're pushing all that crap from the edges of the pool. We'll have the circulation from the jets, but yeah, it's just going to make sure any crap's not going to accumulate in the corners. And if you look in this corner over here, you'll see that they only go up as high as your highest jet. I don't know what the reason for that is. It's just what I decided to do. And it's, if I'm honest, all the insulation I had. But in theory, I didn't want it going right up to the top because it then makes it hard for the coping. Because obviously in that corner, you've got to have an overhang to try and hang to cover that 45-degree angle. If that makes sense. We've got Evie on camera. We've got my pa outside. He's having a good tidy up because we're due more thunderstorms and God knows what else. And the wife is outside painting. It's, can you get mummy? Is she around there? Look? She won't like it. But see if you can poke your head around the corner. Nick, what? You come here. No. She's not. Camera shy. Just doing the 3-in-1 angle at the bottom of the pond now. Yesterday, obviously sand and cement scratch coat should build it out. Now we're just going through. There's one thing you can be sure of. If you're working in the garden, someone won't be far away. Will you, boy? Here we go. I've done a bit of taping. Chamfered edges are all in and solid. Nice and hard. For that we'll have a little bit of a jig. So I just got to do the taping. We are good to go. I'm going to move on to the pond pipework. Put the Nexus waste and that in, but then it absolutely started peeing down. Because that's what it does in Britain. It pees down. But yeah. On to the next bit. A little bit of leftover insulation. Don't throw it away. Get that in a filter house. Good time actually, look. Thunder and lightning due. But yeah, looks good. Apart from, I runned it out for the last wall. That'd be electrics anyway, but just need a scrounge half a sheet or whatnot. Get that finished and keep the old girl nice and warm. But, it's horrible because I keep looking at this Nexus and I think, oh, one day my little drum filter will sit there and this will actually become a bit more roomy. But for now, she shall do. Dear Nexus, dear Nexus. Hello! So we're at an exciting time now. So the pond, as we said, is pretty much nearly ready for fiberglassing. So we need to go around the edges. I'll do this a bit more detail, show everyone what it needs to look like pre-fiberglass, but all these areas all need rounding over, sanding down. All the joints still need to be taped, and then as you can see in some of the corners where the glues seat, we just need to make sure that's smooth. Any gaps and low spots are filled. So that means we can rest this for a bit because we've got just over a week until the fiberglass is due, which means I've turned my attention to the filter house. It's quite difficult to see because of the light is coming through. So got the insulation in. UV's fitted from the wall on the wall. Obviously the Nexus has been sat there for some time. The Nexus waste is in, all sitting level and where it should. Now, when I built this, I thought to myself, oh, filter house, that'd be fine. Yeah, it doesn't need to be too big. You know, this would be plenty. Honestly, whatever your dimensions of your filter shed are, on paper, double it for the actual build. Because one day when I get my drum, that's fine. It's not going to be too bad. It'll be a bit more room. But obviously, we all know how big a Nexus is. Yeah, so now is going to be a struggle, especially as I want my pipework. I've decided, so this UV was never going in here. The UV was going to go on the side of the pond, which was my plan, which looking back now is a really, really stupid plan. So again, plan some more because there's things you miss. So yeah, as I said, I was going to have that on the back wall. It means it's open to the weather. It means it's going to degrade with the weather. There's a chance it could get knocked, and it's pretty unsightly. Let's be honest. The Evolution Aqua UVs, they're not the nicest looking thing. I mean, let's paint it bright white plastic. You know, let's not have a nice dark colour or like the steel like the old ones were. Let's go for a nice bright white plastic that looks like a bit of guttering. So quick switch over, so it's gone from here over to here, which means it's nice. It means I can then just run my pipe work underground, have a single pipe up. In terms of room, it's bloody difficult. So thankfully the Nexus is disconnected at the moment from the bottom drain, so I can move the Nexus around. But had I had a filter shed that I can walk into, although I will say the top lifts up, that's on hinges, but still there's not a lot of room, so it could be fun. We've got all our pipe work, that's all boxed up, ready to go. Trying to keep as organised as possible. Next issue, Vari pump 20,000. In my head I knew it was 2-inch outlet and inlet, so what did I order? 1.5-inch unions. Like everything else now, I've gone to order these and there's a shortage. So what I've had to do as a last minute, so I can crack on, is these are just 2-inch to 1.5-inch rubber boots. So what I'm going to do is actually use these for the time being. I'm not confident using them permanently. I prefer the idea of solvent welded. This is still, there's a risk of possible failure, whereas there is with the solvent welded pipes, but it's a lot less than relying on a piece of rubber to waterproof something. So these are just going to be initially to get me going, get the pump set up and get the pond connected. Once that's done, it'll have a ball valve anyway, so I can just shut it off and then solvent weld in the proper bits of kit. But yeah, make sure you check your fittings, because very stupidly ordering a 1.5-inch, I've now, well, if it hadn't have been for the bodge, I would have been well and truly screwed, because the waiting list on these is some time at the moment. But yeah, in terms of these, I mean, it's again my local dealer, Icklesham Coy, came to my rescue. They're struggling like a lot of people to get a lot of the plastics at the moment, the ABS, but they did have these in stock. So and I didn't even go and get them, he actually drove them round to me, which was just, as always, incredible service, bless their hearts. So yeah, trying to keep as organised as possible. In terms of something else that's probably worth noting at this point, if I had it, so my choice of gear, it's not my choice of gear actually, it's what a lot of people seem to recommend, the Weld-On 725. What I say with this is, so a friend of mine, two friends actually now that I've spoke to, they use the Tangit in the pink tins. You've got a lot more workable time with the Tangit. What I will say is the Weld-On 725 wet hard dry, it's listed as extra quick, and it certainly is. On a day like today with the sun shining, you've literally got a matter of seconds. So make sure you've got it by side, everything's prepped, everything's ready to go. As soon as that solvent's on, you're getting it together and yeah, don't piss arse around because you won't have time. I did it on my bottom drain and caused me all sorts of problems. But yeah, does they do say in terms of industry standard, this gives the hardest or strongest joint going. So fingers crossed. Medium bodied. Christ, let's best not drink it. But yeah, let's start pizzazzing around with some pipework then. See you in a bit. So there we go. We've just made our first cut. And you know what they say, the first cut is the deepest. The first cut is in this case, the shittiest. So not a great cut. So what I'm going to do is get to work. So basically what I've got here, tools wise, I've just got a handsaw, the Sharpie, because what's always a good idea, oh I've read that was a good idea, I don't know how true that is, but is to mark where the adjoining female socket needs to seat to, I suppose is probably the best word. So if we was to take this 90 for example, you'll have to excuse me, I'm doing this one handed, and pop that on there. Hopefully that'll fit all right. With my cut, probably not very well. So basically that line, if you can see, that's getting in the light, that line, once this is seated properly, this edge should be in line with that. Most of the fittings seem to be just a nudge over 30mm, so from the edge of the pipework in, and basically when that's pushed in, don't be too afraid. It feels quite, when you first try and dry fit them, they are very stiff, but once you put the glue on, the solvent on, obviously that acts as a lubricant and allows you to push it on properly. But yeah, in terms of finish, all I'll be doing is giving these a clean up, the ends, and then I'm using a 120 grit to deburr, plus a file where needed. I haven't done this one yet, I will do in a minute. And then just to put a very slight bevel on the edge, just to make sure that the glue doesn't act as a stopper. So with the bevel edge, what it'll do is make sure it seats right, but it'll also push the glue to the edge, which is quite nice. Cobweb on me. And then what I'm doing is I'm not actually using the preparation solvent. What I'm using is a 800 grit just to key up. So when you put the solvent on, obviously what that's designed to do, it's not gluing, it is a form of contact adhesive, if you like. I think that's the right term, contact adhesive. But basically what that's doing is it will begin to chemically bond the plastic. So, but it has got to penetrate. If you look at these when they come from the factory, they've got quite a gloss finish to them, almost like a glaze. So what the preparation liquid does is actually begins to break this glaze down before you start solvent welding, but you can get the same effect by just keying it up. What that's going to do, it's going to allow the solvent to penetrate into the plastic a bit further, and it's going to speed up the whole process. But like I say, with the wet hard dry, the 725, you've not got long, so no fannying around. But yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. So that one's going to sit in the bottom, because on 1.5 inch pipe work, this is obviously 2 inch comes as standard with a Nexus 320, so that's just going to pop in there. That's then going to go into a 90, ready for the input to the Nexus. Obviously this is just a temporary setup, so what I will have is eventually a solvent weld easy 90 going up into the bottom of the Nexus, but just to get us up and running. So this is good enough. So PTFE tape, if you've got any threads to be doing, that's a given. Definitely any threads you've got, definitely use a bit of PTFE, especially as they're plastic threads. Got the tape measure, handsaw, good old Sharpie, other brands available but not as good. Your pipe work, I use just some alcohol free, perfume free, just to give the ends a clean, and then I clean off with a trusty bit of the old blue roll. Again, other brands available but not necessarily blue, so you can't really call it blue roll. 800 grit and then the 150 grit, 800 for the finish, 150 just for deburring, and possibly a file and a standing knife. But yes, without further ado, let's crack on cocking this up. Teaching people to suck eggs again, but what I'm doing here is I've got two right angles in opposite directions. That one's already glued on, but to make sure, I've had this on a flat worktop and put my square on it, set square on it. But to make sure it goes back in the right place, if you can just see that, what I've done is I've got my usual line to show me where it will seat correctly, but I've also done a mark to line up where I know is 90 degrees, if that makes sense. So you can see it there, it's not quite lined up yet, but I've not glued it on. But that's just going to basically make sure it stays in place and I put it in the right place. It's a family affair. Everybody's mucking in. Got the dags. We're just missing the little boy. There we go, it's all ready for fiberglassing. All the joints are taped. The bottom's been beveled. Bit of CT1 around places. At this point, again, groundwork's not cookery. Ain't gonna look super tidy because it's about to be covered up. But yeah, there's my inlets there. So we can leave this now. So the fiberglass is due in, what, 4 or 5 days. So we can go and get the hell on out of here. Because again, today we've got like 40-50 mile an hour winds, because that's what the summer brings. So now we can get back on the pipework. Well, good. So as I'm mounting my VariFlow, wrong way round, upside down, what I wanted to do was just quickly bodge. You won't see these, but what I've done to stop vibration and make sure that it's supported all time was just got myself a bit of 7 or 8 mil ply, I think that is, possibly. And then I've just got some old fish tank foam that I had, and all that I do is just follow the contour of the VariFlow and just make sure it's supported at all times. Looks a complete bodge, but it'll do the job. So this is what I was saying, as I've got my VariFlow mounted on the side, excuse the rubber joints, these will be replaced with the unions, solvent fix unions, but yeah, obviously what I didn't want is the Vari pump sitting sliding all over the place. So just to take out the contours underneath and make sure it's supported everywhere, I've just put that little bit of wood, a little bit of rubber, just to make sure she seats nicely, and just means she's nice and firm on the ground there. See you in a bit. Needed a slight bend in the pipe, so just heated it gently and then manipulated it to the shape that I needed. Bollocks. Bollocks. Little fishes in their new home. Just emptying out the last of the old ponds. 3 or 4 dark coloured koi that are an absolute nightmare to catch. But yeah, bye old pond. I seem quite happy. It's nice having them at the back door. A bit stressed out, I think. But, plenty of oxygen in there. Probably they would appreciate some food in there. There's the older Waza. 36,000 with 36 watt UV, I think. That's going to be up for sale soon, so ping me a message if you're interested. Obviously it's got pump and then UV on the back, but that's been running my 5,000 pond comfortably, to be fair. But yeah, they seem happy for now. Get the net on in a minute. There we go. Wiring's not done. You'll have to excuse me, but everything else is in. Return feed, mid return, and the old shower. Flexi pipe fed, I'm afraid. For now, I've left that sort of open-ended, so we can play around one day in the future when we can afford a new bakki shower. I say a new bakki shower, a proper bakki shower, as opposed to my little DIY jobby, which is actually going to sit right up into the middle there. Pond is still nice and dry despite all the weather we've had, although hiding behind that tarpaulin there is a little bit of sunshine. So there we go, so everything's in here. Got to finish painting these doors. Let me just flick them open. Sorry, excuse the camera. So Pipework from the Nexus. Back to the pond, shut that up. And that just runs back under. and all of this is under tarpaulin at the moment. I was a bit annoyed, as I said earlier. I've had to put the UV on the back of the pond. Just wasn't, there is enough room, but it just makes it very, very, very cramped. So what I've done is I've put it on the back of the pond, and I'm just going to have to come up with some boxing which matches the rest of the pond. Everything's looking a bit jank at the moment, certainly in terms of the old pond, which is now just draining down, which is a bit sad. But yeah, so that's the shower that'll go onto the new pond. Give that a good spruce up and a good clean. But yeah, that's the old one. A bit sad, isn't it? But, yeah, I've got a bottom drain there. If anyone's interested, give us a message. The pond plants. Not sure if they'll go in the new one. But yeah, that's us all ready for tomorrow for fiberglassing. So next time you'll see me, I've still got lots of jobs to do. Got to put a hose on here. My meter's arrived as well. I'll talk a bit about the meter when it arrives, and I've got that all hooked up. There's good reason to have a meter. I'm sure a lot of you know, but those that don't know, obviously you can get a refund from the local water company under the exemption, because you're not putting the water back to waste. So they'll be happy to charge you that, but we shouldn't be as equally happy to pay it. But yeah, there we go. So Buddha's there praying to the fence. But yeah, next time I see you, we'll have young Adam here, and he'll be doing the fiberglassing. So I'm going to have a jolly good tidy up now. I will catch you on the next one. But hope everybody's all right. Hope you're having a good week at work. I think it's Wednesday, so we've broken the back of it. And I'm actually on annual leave next week, which is going to be nice. I can get on with some proper stuff. I was meant to be off this week, but it's all gone a bit chaotic at work. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one for fiberglass. Bring your party hats, your party poppers, and then we'll be able to fill that pond. I'll catch you a bit later on. Ciao for now.